Hey everybody, I am Kris Keefer. Welcome to RacerXOnline.com, and we are at Paris Raceway, which is the oldest motocross track in Southern California, and today is the 50-year anniversary of the RM, and you're looking at a 2025 RM-Z450. We're going to use that word or the number 2025 really lightly because this bike hasn't changed a long time. But with that being said, it is not a bad motorcycle. It still is very, very good motorcycle, and it is very good for a lot of different types of riders. So we're going to talk about that, who it's for, and then we're going to celebrate 50 years of the RM. I spent many years of my young childhood on RM. So 1989 was my first RM-125. That was kind of introduced me after I had a KX80. So big bikes, I was on the RM Army early. 1990, 91, and 92, I spent my 125 novice days on RM-125s, and they were fun. And this graphic brings me back to my childhood, so I'm excited to go ride this thing, talk to a few legends of the Suzuki world, and give you some feedback on this RM-Z450. All right, guys, that's a wrap here at Paris Raceway for the 50 years of the Suzuki RM motorcycle. Right here, 2025 RM-Z450. We also got our RM-Z250. Again, no changes for 2025, but it was cool enough for Suzuki to have a 1992 motif, 90s motif on our bike. Fun event today. We have Suzuki Legends. Just a lot of people like Roger DeCoster, Brad Lackey, Buddy Antunez, Timmy Ferry, Greg Albertine, Damon Huffman, all of these legends in the Suzuki world are here. And I was teamed up with Swap Moto Live's Pat Foster, had a little team race. That was fun. And our team managers were, of course, the 90s legends of Timmy Ferry, Greg Albertine. Just a fun overall event. So if we can break down the Suzuki RM-Z motorcycle, look at, we know we make fun of it, having a Kickstarter, you got to kick it, Kickstart Kenny, all these things that we say about the Suzuki. I think I even made a Suzuki handshake at one time. I think that's up on YouTube somewhere. But nonetheless, this bike is capable for 90% of the consumers out there. Sure, it's a little bit heavier, a little bit dated. It has a BFRC shock that isn't great, but you can make this bike better with a little bit of mods. And what's cool is Suzuki's actually allowing you purchase a Suzuki motorcycle, you get a pro circuit muffler, you can get your own graphic set, you can order that, that'll go to the dealer and you can get that. So there are some incentives to get a Suzuki, and of course it is not expensive. So that's the whole thing about motorcycling for me, is how do we get people involved that don't have a lot of money, but they want to know the freedom of being on two wheels and going to a motocross track or going off-road riding or whatever. And Suzuki's is still producing motorcycles, which is key for me. And maybe one day we'll get an updated RM-Z, but nonetheless, this frame, this chassis is still really good. It corners well. It has a lot of front-end connectivity. I wish it had Dunlop tires on. It has some dated Bridgestones on this thing, but nonetheless, you can buy some Dunlops and get yourself a little bit better of a cornering RM-Z. It doesn't vibrate as much as other bikes like the KTM or the Kawasaki currently. And of course, it has an easy to ride engine, very torquey. You want to short shift it. It doesn't like to be revved out that far, but nonetheless, very manageable and easy to ride. So for me, still a capable motorcycle for most people out there. And of all the brands, you know, I think Suzuki has been a staple within our motocross community. Look, I can go back even when I was a teenager, like I said on the top of the show, where I knew I had a Suzuki motorcycle in my garage, and I went out there 3 to 4 times a day just to look at it. I loved it so much. And when I see some of these graphics around here today, it really gets me going, and it reminds me of my youth. And it brings me back to a time where I wanted to ride every single day, and that's all I thought about. And they're still doing it here today in 2025. So thank you to Suzuki for keeping this motorcycle alive, regardless of updates or not. And if you guys are interested in more Suzuki content, you can always hit me up, Kris@KeeferInkTesting.com. That's an email for you guys out there to get some settings. You want to know about couplers, what you can do to modify these things to make them a little bit better. We have all that up on my website as well on Keefer Ink Testing. And of course, we'll have more content for Suzuki's right here on RacerXOnline.com. So don't forget that, as well as 12 issues, $30. Get the magazine side of RacerX. A lot of stuff inside that magazine that you can't get online. So thank you guys for joining me. Of course, as always, that door is kicked open for you guys. We are a media company that actually answers questions for you. If you need help, I'm here to help you guys, and we'll see you on the next test. RM Army.